So, you're lying in bed at 3 in the morning just staring at the ceiling and suddenly you're hit by that overwhelming question: what's the point of any of this? Your job, your relationships, your goals, do they actually mean anything? This kind of existential crisis has, honestly, plagued humans for centuries, and 3 major philosophical schools have tried to answer it. Nihilism says, nothing matters, so why bother? Existentialism says nothing matters, so you're free to create your own meaning. Absurdism says, nothing matters, but that's hilarious, keep going anyway. Today, we're breaking down all 3 philosophies and hey, which approach might actually help you live a better life. Nihilism is the position that life has no inherent meaning, purpose, or value. The word comes from the Latin nihil, which literally means nothing. Nihilists argue that moral values are baseless, and human existence is, well, fundamentally meaningless. Here's the nihilist argument. We live in a vast, indifferent universe that just doesn't care about human concerns. There's no God, no cosmic plan, no objective meaning. We're basically just biological accidents on a rock floating through space. Everything you care about will eventually be forgotten, the sun will die, the universe will end in heat death, so what's the point of anything? Nihilists see people creating belief systems like religion, nationalism, or humanism as desperate attempts to avoid facing this truth. These are just comforting illusions. Some nihilists actually find this liberating. If nothing matters, then nothing you do can be ultimately wrong. You're completely free because you're completely meaningless. But, most people can't function with this mindset and fall into depression or apathy. Existentialism starts with the same premise: there's no inherent meaning to life. But interestingly, it reaches the opposite conclusion. Instead of despair, existentialists see radical freedom. The core idea is existence precedes essence. You exist first, then create your own essence through your choices. You're not born with a predetermined purpose, you define yourself through how you live. Jean-Paul Sartre argued that humans are, well, condemned to be free. With no God, no human nature, and no cosmic plan to tell you what to do. It's kind of terrifying because honestly you're completely responsible for your own actions. But at the same time it's liberating because you can become whatever you choose. Existentialists, believe in what's called authentic living. The thing is, most people actually live inauthentic lives, just following social expectations without really questioning them. But authentic living means taking full responsibility for your choices and, creating your own values. The existentialist response to meaninglessness is pretty much, fine, I'll create my own meaning. They become artists, revolutionaries, or philosophers. Not because these roles have any kind of cosmic significance, but because they choose to make them significant. Absurdism, developed by Albert Camus, takes a middle path. Absurdists agree life is meaningless but reject both nihilistic despair and existentialist meaning creation. Camus identified the absurd as the conflict between human need for meaning and the universe's silence. We desperately want answers, but the universe offers none. Most people try to escape through philosophical suicide, creating belief systems that pretend to solve meaninglessness. But Camus argued these are honestly just sophisticated self-deception. The absurdist response is to acknowledge the absurd fully and then keep living anyway. Not because you found meaning, but because living itself is rebellion against meaninglessness. Camus used Sisyphus, condemned to push a boulder up a mountain for eternity only to watch it roll back down. This represents the human condition. Endless, apparently pointless struggle. But Camus says we must suppose Sisyphus is happy. He knows his task is meaningless but chooses to embrace it anyway. This is the absurdist attitude. Full awareness of meaninglessness combined with passionate engagement with life. These philosophies lead to different ways of living. Career choices? A nihilist might do whatever requires least effort. An existentialist would choose work expressing their authentic self. An absurdist would find work they enjoy and do it well despite its absurdity. So, when it comes to relationships, nihilists might, avoid deep connections since they see them as kind of pointless. On the other hand, existentialists would pursue relationships that allow for authentic self-expression. And absurdists, well, they'd love fully, all the while acknowledging that, every relationship eventually comes to an end. Now, looking at personal struggles, nihilists might just sink into despair during tough times. Existentialists, though, would use those struggles as opportunities to make authentic choices. Meanwhile, absurdists would acknowledge the pain, but they'd still maintain their commitment to living life fully. When it comes to success, Nihilists see accomplishments as, honestly, just hollow victories. Existentialists, however, view success as meaningful if it reflects their authentic choices. And absurdists? They enjoy achievements, but they also recognize their ultimate insignificance. So, which philosophy is right? Well, honestly, that depends on your temperament and what you need to function. Some folks say nihilism might be the most intellectually honest approach. After all, it's hard to argue that anything has objective meaning. But, pure nihilism often leads to despair and even paralysis. On the other hand, existentialism offers some practical solutions by turning meaninglessness into freedom. But then again, critics argue that if meaning is purely subjective, is it really meaning at all? Absurdism, though, might just offer the best of both worlds, accepting meaninglessness without falling into despair or clinging to false consolations. It lets you live passionately while still staying intellectually honest. And honestly, you don't have to pick just one. A lot of people move between these positions depending on their circumstances. Sometimes you need a bit of existentialist meaning-making, sometimes a dose of nihilistic honesty, and sometimes, well, some absurdist acceptance. What matters is that all three take seriously fundamental questions about human existence. They don't offer easy answers or comforting illusions. They force you to confront the possibility that life might be meaningless, and figure out how to live anyway. Your 3 a.m. existential crisis isn't a problem to be solved. It's a sign you're grappling with the deepest human questions. Whether you respond with nihilistic acceptance, existentialist rebellion, or absurdist embrace is really up to you. The fact that you're asking these questions means you're living more thoughtfully than most people. That might not be cosmically significant, but honestly, it's something. If you want to explore more philosophical questions about existence and meaning, make sure to subscribe. These ideas have shaped human understanding for generations. Hit that subscribe button, because questioning everything is the beginning of wisdom, and wisdom is worth pursuing even if the universe doesn't care.